not gonna lie, my entire Olympic career, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it was me and all the football guys. Like, I was the only girl going pound for pound with them. But it was dope because it kept me on my toes. My first time down the ice, I was like, why would this ever be a sport? Like, I didn't understand how somebody wanted to do that.
Welcome to the next Conversations with Brent. Today, I am honored. I have the privilege to interview Miss Aja Evans, two-time Olympian. How you doing, Aja?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I was excited when you said you were able to do the show. So what we like to do is just kind of get to know Aja a little bit. Mm-hmm. I know you're from Chicago.
Yeah.
When I was reading up on you, they said what they call it, the deeper South Side of Chicago or something. What's the difference between South Side and deeper?
It's like Chicago already has its own rep when you think about the city. But I'm from the South Side of Chicago, like actual South Side of Chicago. I went to Morgan Park High School at University of Illinois, and so I kind of really grew up in that authentic South Side vibe. A lot of black people. Sports was a really, really cool tool for me, given my surroundings, because it helped me to see more than just that. But yeah.
And that's cool. I have one of my good friends. He's from South Side of Chicago. His family is been there right around 81st and Stony Island and Dorchester. So.
Oh yeah, I used to live on 79th and Champlain.
So I'm right there. Probably past you driving down the street.
For real.
So we know that you're a two-time Olympic bobsledder, but you actually kind of rose up in track and field.
Right. That's how I started in bobsled. I started off as a track and field athlete. I grew up always wanting to do track and field.
Okay.
I idolized athletes like Jackie Joyner-Kersee. I used to love watching track and field meets, especially during the Olympics with my family. But I didn't start sports myself until my freshman year of high school, which is pretty late, right? For athletes to have gone as far as I did. But I think that there was beauty in that because my mom just let us be kids. Like, my sister and I were very active growing up. We're 2 years apart, so anything I did, she did. And so, but we like to be in camps, outside, moving around. So up until high school, I was just a kid, like just doing anything to be outside and have fun. And then when I started into my freshman year of high school, I went to Morgan Park High School, which was state champs, state runners-up, city champs. And so I came into a program that already had a prestigious record and history. And so instantly, I just wanted to be a part of that. And that's how I started off in track and field, which took me on to a full scholarship at I actually went to UNLV in Vegas my freshman year. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to be
the Running Rebels.
The Running Rebels. I only claim them when basketball season is like if the collegiate team is doing good or something. I don't talk much about my UNLV roots. But just coming from Chicago and realizing that sports was a way for me to go anywhere I wanted to, free of charge for college. It made me want to go like far out, and so that's how UNLV came up when I got the scholarship offer. And I was working under Coach Barbara Farrell Edmondson at the time, who was a former Olympic medalist. My shot put coach was a former Olympic record holder in discus. And so I was under the right type of people to go to where I wanted to go, but the program and the school just wasn't for me.
Okay.
And so after my freshman year, I transferred to University of Illinois and continued on my collegiate career in track and field. But at U of I is where I found out that I was destined to be an Olympic bobsledder, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, my coach, my senior year, every year we kind of do these combine style testing events similar to like football combines.
Right.
Where you test your sprint, your power, your speed and explosiveness, and it kind of gives you an idea of what to expect going into the indoor season. And so we did that, and that's the same thing that you do to get ready for bobsled. And he was comparing the numbers, and he was like, oh, based off these numbers alone, you would be a great fit for the sport. And I didn't pay much mind in college because I thought, I was like, man, I'm going to the Olympics as a track and field athlete.
Flojo, Jackie
Joyner. I'm not Cool Runnings. Like, I know what I'm doing. And then I ended up going to the Olympics in bobsled. So, hey.
So one thing you said is your parents allowed you to be a kid. And I think sometimes parents put so much pressure on their kids to be the next Jordan, the next LeBron or whatever, and don't let them be kids.
Yeah.
So I commend your parents for allowing you just to be a kid and let you kind of find your path.
Yeah,
so.
and then it became my choice and something I wanted for myself, and it made it more fulfilling and made me want to stick with it when it got hard, because it's always going to get hard. But when it was something I wanted to do for me, it was a deeper connection. And so like I wanted to be a part of it no matter what challenges came up. I wanted to earn my seat at the table because I come from a very athletic family. My father was a swimmer. My mother ran track.
Oh, wow.
My brother played in the NFL for 8 years, 7 with the Minnesota Vikings, and both my uncle and cousin both play Major League Baseball. So like any sport, I'm clever, right? And so I just wanted to scoot my seat up to the table.
Say, hey,
and so,
had to find your place.
Yeah.
So you talked about difficulties and challenges. What led you to transition from track and field to bobsled? Was it an injury? Was it just timing? Was it just divine intervention?
I think it was timing. After college, I went on to compete a little post-collegiate.
Okay.
But it wasn't the exact lane I wanted to be in. I'm like 5'10", and I was too small to really just be a full-time shot put thrower, which was what I did in college. But then I also wasn't fast enough to just be a sprinter on a professional level. And so I was kind of in this middle gray area, and a lot of the coaches that wanted to work with me on a professional level wanted me to just like gain all this weight to become a shot put thrower or what they thought I could do, and it just didn't feel like me.
Right.
And so as part of my undergrad degree, I had to complete a semester of internship, and I did it. I did my undergrad in sport management.
Okay.
And so I worked at a sports performance gym, EFT Sports Performance in Highland Park, Illinois, and that's where everything kind of came together. My brother trained there in the off season with all his NFL friends. And so that's how I found out about the gym. And then I started working there. I got hired during my internship, started working there, and I loved it. I was helping so many different people accomplish their goals, whether they're corporate clients, they have weight loss goals, they're collegiate athletes trying to make it, combine training, preparing high school athletes for college. I just worked with them all, and it was very fulfilling, but it was something missing for me. Like, I was like, dang, I'm giving all this to everyone else, but like, what about me?
Right.
And so that's when the Olympics, like my Olympic dreams kind of came back into play, and I was like, I got to do something about it. And in 2012 was when I started my Olympic journey. And I started training at EFT. It was me and all the football guys. Like, I was the only girl going pound for pound with them, but it was dope because it kept me on my toes, and their dynamic was, it was what I needed for the sport of bobsled, because you got to be able to be a competitor and a teammate like that. As 1 minute you're competing against each other, next you got to help the other person move the sled or anything that needs to take place from a teammate perspective. And so what I admired about training with all those guys and my brother was the way they went so hard every Sunday or Thursday night, but then they were able to like push each other and kind of have that lightheartedness around it. And so just that dynamic is similar to like what the sport of bobsled was. And so it was cool for me to learn that going into the sport, because everything about the sport was new for me, but I went in wanting to be an Olympic gold medalist, to be honest.
So a second ago you mentioned cool runnings, which we know is about the Jamaican bobsled team. Most African Americans know nothing about bobsledding. Give us some kind of what bobsledding is. You mentioned track and field, football, we got you. You talk about bobsled, and we what they talking about?
Exactly. It's so funny. Even with bobsledding, sometimes when people hear that, they ask me where my dogs are. Where do I keep my dogs? And I'm like, my what? And then I realized what they was talking about, like sled dog, or whatever it's called, dog sledding or whatever. But bobsled is a Winter Olympic sport where you race down about a mile-long track full of a bunch of twists and turns. And my job is the brakeman, so I'm the engine to the sled. I get it going from 0 to 100 at the start of the race, and then I hop in after the driver, and she does all of the real work down the track, like steering.
How much real work is it? It's a track. You getting it going. Man. Wait a minute, to me, your position seems the hardest, because you got to push the sled and her and then jump in.
Right. She's pushing too, though. She's pushing on the side, but I bring a lot to the table because my momentum and velocity can really give her the boost she needs. But like navigating that track at speeds of 80 miles an hour or faster, and when we're going through these twists and turns, we're battling gravity, so we're pulling 4 or 5 G's. Astronauts, when they go into outer space, they pull about 3 G's. So like we're even more than that. So that's pressure just pushing you down in the sled. So for them to be navigating, and they use D-rings, so it's a steering mechanism. So like if you pull the right one, it's like 2-wheel drive. The runner's in the front, the blades will go to the right. If you pull the left, it goes to the left. So literally they're steering down the track like this, trying to make minor adjustments to be as efficient as possible. So their job is way.
So it's more to it than you just running, jumping in the sled. Because when you look at bobsled, you like, man, that look fun, going down the hill, going through the little banks and stuff.
It looks fun, but man, it is brutal. Like that, my first time down the ice, I was like, why would this ever be a sport? Like I didn't understand how somebody wanted to do that. And like, it's just very loud, it's fast. I'm not in control, which is something
that's
I'm not
hard
used
for a lot
to.
of us.
Come on. And then I'm supposed to jump in and just expect someone I don't even know like that to get me down safely. Like that was hard, as well as not being in control of like the outcome. So like I can only do so much. So it's a lot that goes into the sport and makes it very dynamic. But if it was just to go down the track, I don't even like roller coasters, so I'm not that adventurous. But I am athletic, I am competitive, and when the adrenaline gets going, I get in that zone.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So 2-time Olympian. Which Olympics, and then what did you medal?
Yeah, so like I said, I started bobsled in 2012, and I made my first Olympic team and won bronze in 2014.
Okay.
And then I recently competed in the 2018 Winter Olympics as well. 2014 was in Sochi, Russia, and the 2018 Olympics were in Pyeongchang, South Korea. Yeah.
And then what did you do in 2018?
I placed 5th.
Yeah,
and I raced with the same driver.
Okay. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So bobsledding, we'll start out track and field.
Yep.
Into bobsledding. What's next?
I know, it's always that what's next question.
Besides your, what was it? I just seen it today. Was it a 46-inch, 48-inch seated box jump?
Box jumps? Oh, you saw my box jumps? Nice. I mean, yes, I can do that, but actually my highest is 54 inches.
Really? From seated or just standing?
I actually feel like I jump better from seated. But it's from seated, yeah.
Because I feel like I can jump a little bit.
Okay, what you got?
I don't know if I can go. I don't know if I can go that high.
I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure I can help you with your technique, because like for me, I love that exercise because it helps me channel all the power and explosiveness I need at the start of my event. Because in bobsled, I start at such a static position, so I'm very still, and then I kind of fall into the sled and boom, hit it. And so it gives it this burst of power. And so with the seated box jumps, essentially I start kind of in this static position and then explode up. And it's the same thing. So that's my favorite exercise.
But that's crazy though. I've seen that and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So next
I'm actually like transitioning out of sport, and it's cool for me because that's a hard thing to do, especially knowing that physically I'm capable of going another Olympics and probably another one after that. But I mean, I think that it's important to continue your journey and know that, like, for me, the Olympics and being an Olympian wasn't just a one-time thing. It's part of who I am. It's part of my journey. It's part of my story. And there'll be other things that'll come that'll be part of my story as well. And so I'm doing more with my platform, doing more speaking, sharing my story, and using it to help empower others. I have an organization, Aspire and Journeys Ahead, the Aja Foundation, which helps young women and female athletes, just providing them with tools throughout their journey. I had an event earlier this year before COVID hit during All-Star Weekend in Chicago, called Beauty and the Beast Mode, and it was a leadership symposium for young women. And I had Carrie Champion come through, Karen Civil. We had a financial advisor, and just kind of helping young women just understand all the possibilities they have available, and learning things I wish I could have learned like along the way. And I think it's important. I feel like a lot of athletes have things that they want to instill into the next generation, but sometimes you feel like you got to be at this destination before you can help those behind you. And it's never really a final destination.
It's not.
Yeah, so as I'm learning, as I'm growing, I'm just trying to push that on to the next ones.
So what would you say if you had to take one or two things that you really want to instill in that next generation, what would it be?
One of the things that I really want to instill in the next generation is belief, like in yourself and your abilities. No matter what your circumstances are, no matter who's around you, what anyone's telling you. Sometimes even the ones closest to you don't even believe in what you want for yourself. And so you have to feel it first and foremost before anything can come to fruition or you can go anywhere. And a lot of times you know exactly what you want for yourself, but you're scared to admit it or you're scared to talk to others about it because they won't see the vision. And a lot of times they don't see it until afterwards. So it got to start with you. And so that's something I really live by, and I'm learning for myself even as I transition out of sport, is knowing that the things that got me to the places I went in the Olympics will get me to where I want to go in my next endeavors. And that's a part of who I am, not just because I was an athlete. And also too, I think it's important to surround yourself with the people that reflect where you want to go and what you want to do. Yeah, I think that's really important. So it starts with the belief in yourself, because we could sit here and talk all day, but if you don't feel like you believe in yourself or you don't believe in the goals you have for yourself, then none of it will resonate. But once you kind of get that belief in it, you start surrounding yourself and putting yourself in environments to where you can thrive and learn from people. I think it's important to just be open to learning. Your entire life. It never stops. I'm learning so much more now than I did like in school.
Well, and I tell athletes all the time, what you learn as an athlete is transferable in anything in life. That's why I think it's important for kids to play sports, even if they're not trying to go to college or the league or anything. The camaraderie, how to deal with losses, how to deal with victories graciously. I think all these things are more important in sports than, trying to get somewhere with it.
They build such hard skills. And and those are things that can travel with you throughout your life. But a lot of times the thing with being an athlete is we're so used to seeing us apply it in one way. And so when we've been applying all these skills in one way, it's hard to then take that away and be like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to apply all this stuff. It's like speaking another language. Like it don't work like that. So I'm realizing the transition and the mental process behind understanding what it takes to apply the things that you've done in your athletic career to the rest of your endeavors. And a lot of people go through this. Last year I attended a business program at Dartmouth at Tuck, their business school, called Transition to Business. It was a 2-week program for elite athletes and military vets. And at first I didn't understand why they wanted to have us both in that cohort, but the mentality of being in that one frame of mind for so long. So like an elite athlete or military, we all have such amazing skills and qualities, but like when we thought about applying those to the real world or like anything outside of what we've been doing for years of our lives, like it seemed like a foreign territory. Like everyone, even the military guys who have been to the most highest levels, were like, oh my gosh, well, what am I supposed to do in the real world? And I think it's a shock and it's overwhelming because a lot of times it comes when you're not ready. And so I'm just trying to stay faithful and stay true to myself and know that like I am ready for it and I am working on the process, and it's not going to be like a night and day difference, but to just enjoy it.
Because I think when you think about an athlete, so much of it is muscle memory. Your body gets used to doing something, and so every time you're just kind of rehearsing. But when you stop, you forget that there was a mental aspect to that muscle memory. And so sometimes people do need help transitioning from the muscle memory to the mental memory of doing what it takes to be successful. Because even in adversity, you have to overcome something. So when was the time, maybe anywhere in your life, that you just was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do because it just looked like something wasn't gonna happen?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my entire Olympic career, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like sometimes I wanted to be there, most of the time I didn't. It was just a very hard sport, and we're traveling around the world. I'm away from my family and those that I love. So it's like hard for me to even get the balance I need to keep pursuing the sport. But what helped me during that journey was realizing the people I was impacting. Because when I went into the sport of bobsled, I went in just wanting to be an Olympic gold medalist, wanting to be an athlete, wanting to be, all these things. And so I didn't realize that like I stood for so much more, and that I'm a black woman. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I'm going to a sport that I've never even touched in 2
Right.
years with goals to like, it's crazy. But that's just the way I'm wired, and I'm so used to being in that go, go, go. But then I started receiving messages and emails and Facebook messages from people all around the world, let alone like in the city of Chicago, telling me about how they showed their kids, my story, or they're watching us and cheering us on at the Olympics, or like even knowing that me pursuing this crazy sport has inspired someone else to go after a new job position, or just to see that it's sparking something in them. It kept me in the game, because it gets hard no matter what.
Sure.
And I think knowing that I had so many people, so many genuine people in my corner that I didn't even know personally, just kept me on my toes and kept me in the game and wanting to bring it home for everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, as we get ready to wrap up, you talked about some things you're doing. How can people keep up with Aja?
Yeah.
And maybe what's something you want people to know or to follow, or how can they support you in your endeavors?
Absolutely. So I'm on social media on all platforms. It's Aja L. Evans. That's AJALEVANS. I'm launching my website next month. It'll be AjaLEvans.com. And it'll feature a lot more authentic content, not just like the Olympian vibe. You'll get more lifestyle. You'll get more about the things I do within my community, the events I do with my nonprofit organization, and where I'm going from there. Also, I think something I want people to realize about me is just like, it's not easy. It's not easy to have done the things that I've done, or even to make the decision to transition out of sport. And I think that a lot of times, because sports you only see them when they're highlighted in those competitions or on those stages, you don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. And I think it's important for people to realize I'm still human. I still struggle with a lot of things. I'm learning myself all over again. And so it's a process that everyone goes through. And the more we embrace it and become excited about the journey itself instead of like one destination, then the more fulfilling it is.
And I think that's so key. What you said is, you do something for 15, 20 years of your life, and then all of a sudden it's like, what's next?
Right.
And it can almost be frightening, because you've done something for so long, and now you have to think about what's next.
It's a shock. Like, it's a shock. And if I'm being real with you, Brent, like, I knew I had to figure out what was next, like when I was in South Korea at the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. Before I even competed, I just knew that I wanted to know what was next for myself, and I wanted to have a next step and not just feel like I have to keep doing bobsled, or even for myself, like, you tell yourself like, this is what you're best at, is well, all you good, this is how you make your money, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, like, I know I'm capable of doing a bunch of other things, and it's okay to try things. Like, I think people, because I've been to such an elite level for a very long time, I was scared to try stuff just because I wanted that next step to be as elite, if not better. And it's like, come on, what's really more elite than the Olympics? So it's like, be real and just be open to trying things and enjoying it and learning yourself.
So, as you heard, Aja L. Evans on social media. Follow her, see what's coming next. Anything else you want to say before we part?
I just want to thank you for having me on here. I love your show, and I appreciate the authentic conversations and the flow. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you for coming. It was truly an honor to have you.
Anytime.
Thank you. So, thank you for watching Conversations with Brent. Follow us on social media, BK3Mill. Have a great day on purpose.